I really wanted to build something, but I'm all out of wood. So what do? I built 3 mallets and, hey, 1 extra out of scrap wood inspired by 3 different people, 2 YouTubers and my son. You could probably build some variation of any one of these 3. Let's get started. Now, for this first mallet, this was inspired by a video I saw by Fisher's Shop on YouTube, and he made a Celtic knot into the handle, and I thought that was so cool. I've never built that before, and I really wanted to give it a try. Now, I watched this video once or twice, very much enjoyed it. I'll put a link in the description to it, but it's really not that hard to do, and it comes out kind of cool once you understand how to do it. And I use scrap wood for doing all of this, and it was a lot of fun to build, but my first one, well, it didn't turn out so well. I made the knot way too tight, and I ruined a piece of walnut, which just almost makes me cry. But yeah, I moved on, and I made some adjustments and tried to fix that. And I guess I probably should have watched the video a few more times to make sure I understood exactly how to do it, but I wanted to experiment and try some things. Now, why in the heck am I making mallets when I could have made cutting boards, I could have made coasters, could have done all kinds of stuff like that, but I've already done all that, and I wanted to do something a little bit different that I haven't done before. And I decided to make 3 mallets because I like the idea of having different weights and different sizes of mallets in my shop. Now, my son made me a mallet for Christmas, 2-3 years ago maybe, and I asked him to do it. He obliged, and he made it, and I'm kind of surprised at how often I want to use this mallet. And it's come in very handy when I need to persuade some wood to get, put into position. And I like the fact that I can customize the balance of these different mallets and have them for different occasions in the workshop. And it's really inspired by the one he gave me and the fact that I use it so much. And I'm going to build one similar to it here at the very end of this video. Now that I learned from the fact that I don't want to make the knot quite as tight, so it does have some strength to it. And I apologize here for this video. This portion, for some reason, my lens was a little bit foggy, and we'll get through it here in a minute. Sorry about that. But I made the knot a little bit wider, which actually makes it look cooler anyway. And I started with a piece of square wood instead of an octagon. I just thought it would be a little easier to work with. And then once I get that done, I could move on to making the octagon and adding 4 more pieces. So I ended up putting 8 pieces in this handle to make the Celtic knot. And it just makes it look cooler from my perspective. I really kind of like that. You can do them with 4 or 8, it doesn't matter. Now, most people have a lathe that they can spin this on to make the handle, and I don't. Probably could have done this on the bandsaw or on the table saw now that I think of it, but I'm using my very interesting tool here. It's by Phantom Engineering, called I think it's called a woodchuck, if I remember correctly. And anyway, it uses a router, as you can see, to plane off one side of this, and then you incrementally turn the handle on this so that you get just a little bit more, and it takes all these straight lines and turns it into a curve. It's really kind of cool to play with. I've used it for a few other projects. Absolutely perfect for this. And you want to go deep enough into this wood now that you've built this to make sure you get that knot of the handle kind of to come out. And I did that. and very happy with the way it came out, as you can see here. And boy, does it really comes out when you finish it off. But yeah, so I finished that, and I really like it. But it's kind of a cheap piece of wood. I hate to say that, but a friend of mine gave me this wood from a piece of furniture, and they said, "Hey, you're a woodworker, here, take it." And I did, and unfortunately, it's been glued together. Pieces have been glued together. It's very soft wood, not very heavy, and you can see that. And so therefore, I needed to add some weight to it and some strength to it. And how is it going to do that? Well, I'm going to use this honking bolt here to bury down inside it. It'll add that weight to the head of it, and it'll give that headpiece a little bit of strength. And so I did that. I was very happy with the weight in the end, and just ended up putting a little bit of a cap on the top of this and a matching cap on the bottom, so that there weren't any holes showing or anything. I just thought it looked a little nicer. And this piece was done, and I have an opportunity to move on to the next mallet. Now, for this next mallet that I'm building, this thing is a big honkin' hammer. This will be my persuader. I looked online and found the dimensions for a standard mallet, I guess, and this thing was huge, but I wanted to build it to that. And I watched this video from Fortress Fine Woodworks. Guy's great. I'll put a link in the description to the mallet that he built. This is somewhat patterned after his, but does not have the complexity, not nearly as nice, but it's something that I can build and something that will challenge me to build a nice mallet. So I thought I would give it a try, and boy, did it challenge me. Now, the first thing he did was he made this very funky handle with two dissimilar pieces of wood, and you would think that, hey, that thing's going to fall apart when you try to use it to hammer something. But he ended up sandwiching it, as you'll see later, in between two other strips of wood, and I actually used mesquite for that, and mesquite is unbelievably strong wood, so I think that will hold up really well as I finish this off. Now, the interesting part of this particular mallet, it's not one piece. It's got a tapered mortise and tendon joint between the head and the handle, and it's something I've never done before, and I certainly wanted to give that a try. The guy that did this, he's a master craftsman, so he can do that. I'm using very dull, inexpensive chisels from Harbor Freight, and guess what I'm getting for Christmas? Yeah, you got it. I'm getting a sanding stone, and I'm going to use that to be able to do a much better job with a chisel, because as you'll see here in this, and you probably already recognize that, I really did a terrible job with chiseling a mortise joint in this. Now, I used a palm router to kind of clean out this thing. I was a little overzealous there, but not too bad. I love palm routers. I've got a Bosch. I really enjoy it. It wasn't cheap, but I've been very happy with it. I use it very often in different projects. And as you can see, I missed a little bit on the top part of this, and my chisels are dull, so I'll fix that after Christmas. Now, by that point, I wanted to finish off the head. I put a nice 5-degree angle on each side of the head and then curved the top. And once I was able to do that, I'm ready to glue this thing together. Now, mallets aren't always glued together. Some of them use dry joints, but in my particular case, I wanted to make sure this thing was solid, so I was generous with the glue, and I don't really see a big problem with that. Now, once I finish gluing this thing together, you can start to visualize the magnitude of the size of this thing. And again, as I look at the portfolio of these 3 mallets that I built, plus the one that my son made, I think I have a good portfolio, and I can use different mallets for different occasions. Now, once the glue dried on this, it was just a matter of doing a little bit of cleanup and sanding. And then I wanted to route the head of the mallet after all that was finished. And again, use my palm router to put a 45-degree angle across the head of it. And I didn't really have to do any additional sanding on this because I already did that on the handle and the head, and it was just some finishing work. And look at the size of that thing, man. This is, it's a beast. But it certainly does not have the complexity of the mallet that I saw on the YouTube video. And again, I'll leave a link to his video. He made a masterpiece of a mallet. I'd be afraid to use it. But anyway, this is something that I could build. I think it's something that you could build. And it's kind of an interesting build with a couple of twists to it. My third mallet uses a wedged mortise and tenon joint, and so for the mortise, I tried to use a piece of steel tubing, and as you can see, I can't get it out. I can't believe how solid that is. So, hey, that's my fourth mallet. I built another one, and when I glued it up, I took that piece of metal out right away so that I could have a hole to be able to fit the handle in. I'm really still kind of surprised how well the glue adhered to the metal. That was pretty interesting. As you'll see here, I cut myself with this blade, and this is really not the method you want to go through and validate that you need to get a new blade for your bandsaw because it's dull. I've used this blade a long time. It's been a real problem for me lately, and I should have gotten a new blade sooner, and I probably shouldn't have had my hand right there. Anyway, I recovered. It took a while, but I recovered from that, and I will be buying a new 3/4-inch blade for my bandsaw because they're too expensive to get sharpened. Anyway, I moved on to making the handle, which was, again, scrap wood, so I had to glue some pieces together to do that. And I just cut this on my dado blade for the tenon to be able to fit inside the head of this mallet. Jury-rigged a little setup on my table saw to be able to cut the split for the split wedge. And then I tried something different. I wanted to carve a handle into this with my angle grinder. I have a blade on this for carving wood. It's a lot of fun to work with, but I very quickly decided that wasn't too good and moved on to my edge sander to make a handle. And believe me, that was just so much easier to do it that way. Now, I glued this in. You don't have to do that, but, you know, I wanted to. My son's uses no glue whatsoever. He wondered if it would hold together, and I've had it for 2 or 3 years now. It's worked great, so he did an outstanding job. But I'm going to glue mine together. It was a good joint. I used a piece of zebra wood on the top just to give it a little bit of a dissimilar kind of look to it instead of walnut. And once I put this in and cut the head of it off and did some additional sanding, I was done with this. It's a light mallet. So is my son, so I can see using this in cases where I don't have to have something really heavy like the previous one that I built. But I think I'll get some good use out of it. And I like the fact that I kind of curved that head so it's more of a hammer kind of finish to it. Well, there you go. 3 different mallets inspired by 3 different people using 3 different joinery methods and 3 different heads and 3 different weights. It's a nice arsenal to add to my workshop. I think I'll get years of good use out of these mallets. I'm really glad I had the opportunity to build them. The big one, I actually put my logo on both sides. I just thought that was kind of fun. And I'm going to look for a prominent place to be able to display these mallets, and including my son's, of course, in a good place where I can easily access them and be able to use them. I really enjoyed making these three very different and very unique mallets. I certainly appreciate you watching today's video. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would much appreciate it if you did. And this is Dave with Level Up Woodworking, and I'll see you next time.